one of the financial suggestions that I have for the philanthropy and community and the one percenters out there is that we need to start investing in public information centers. This is a major point of changing the way we do things. We never talk about stuff. We have this saying in America, everyone is entitled to their own opinion, okay? But somehow we have to break down the information barriers that have been created through the takeover of our own major media. Because it's okay to have your own opinion, but if your opinion has been formed by the mass media, then it's not really your opinion, is it? It's okay to have your own opinion, but if your opinion is not informed by the facts, all the facts, both sides of a story, then your opinion isn't worth diddly squat. You have a useless opinion. You have an opinion that is actually harmful, not helpful. So, the rules no longer apply, and as uncomfortable as it will make us, we have to find a public space, and in the spirit of the Occupy movement, we must have these videos going, the ones that are on my playlist or ones that you choose for yourself, so people can sit down and watch and get connected and challenged to take the pledge. Now, these public information centers can be wherever you can manage to put them. And I would really like to see funding happen so that people can have the laptops and be able to pay for the power that it costs to run them, or to get the solar panels, because you can run computers on solar panels, either indoors or set up your car in a parking area of your local mall, or do whatever it takes to occupy some space and just start showing these movies. And you'll have a little sign on your table or wherever you can put one that says, I am not here to argue. I can help you answer questions and find information, but I am not here to argue. And that's all you got to say. And keep it that way. Because we are changing things. And one of the things that we are changing is the way that we communicate with one another and what our expectations are of one another. We've been trained the whole time that we've been here. There's been a message that's been put out that you may not have heard it because it's not out loud, okay? But you get the message when you turn on your TV. You get the message when you go out shopping. You get this message that you're just a cow, okay? You are here to consume and produce milk, and that's it, okay? But somehow you're not smart enough or capable enough of governing yourselves, of running your own democracy. And we need to get past that. And the way to get past that is to start laying that expectation on people, that no, for $14.95, I cannot sell you the answer to all your problems. And that no, I am not a PhD double, scientific genius who has studied all this stuff and therefore has scientifically proven that this is the answer and you must do this thing. Okay? This is about everybody getting their shit together. So, no, you're not there to argue. You're not there to convince anybody of anything. What you are there to do is to lay down the gauntlet and say, if you want a democracy, then you need to get your butt to work. And here's the work that needs to be done. Take the pledge, do your homework. That's all. That's the message. Now, when people watch these movies, they're going to say, oh, this is all leftist propaganda. And we will say, well, it's actually reality. And if reality has a leftist leaning, then that's just the way it is. And nobody is entitled to an opinion until they have all the facts. Period. No argument. Stand firm in this revolutionary act. I know that there are a lot of you out there, like me, who are just going nuts because we know so much and we know what's going on, but we've all been cut off from the major media. There's no way to share it with anybody or tell anybody anything. And with mass media, what happens is that everybody gets the same information. So nobody sits around and talks about or argues about anything, because everybody's in agreement. Everybody has gotten the same information. So it's really frustrating. And I'm telling you that you're right. If it is your inclination or your intuition that you literally just need to get out there and occupy some space and just do this, then that you are correct. Follow your intuition. Follow what your gut tells you. Follow what your heart tells you. Because you're right. The only way we're going to do this is if we break down these rules that we have. It's almost like it's like an etiquette in America that you're not supposed to talk politics, And it's really just a form of self-imposed ignorance. So I think it would amaze and even horrify people who are trying to live in the Middle East right now to know that the real reason why the military-industrial complex of the United States is able to get away with mass murder is because of American etiquette. The fourth thing that you must do right now, depending on who you are and who you hang out with and what resources you have available to you, is to review the expected climate changes for your area. The controversy is a contrived lie. There is no controversy. It's happening, and we're just not being prepared for it because the ruling elite only makes money on death and destruction. The more problems we have, the easier it is to control us. I have a video called on disaster capitalism. I forget the name of the lady who wrote about it, but she's really wonderful. But she talks about disaster capitalism. Now, disasters work fine for a lot of capitalists because, then they can go in and buy up an area like they did in Louisiana down there with Katrina. Just buy up an area, get rid of all the public housing and all this stuff, and put in their condos, do whatever they want. And so natural disasters all over the globe is not a problem for somebody who makes money off of it, right? So that's what we're dealing with. So it's important that you take a look. The government has a site where you can go and see exactly what kinds of changes are expected for your area. You need to look at your local, county, and state representatives. They also need to know if there are going to be droughts to be expected, insect infestations, or refugees to be accommodated. Because just because nothing happens in your area doesn't mean that you won't be affected by something that happens in another area, of course. So, is your community, ready to accept an influx of more people? How's your infrastructure set up? These are things that you need to be looking at now because nobody else is preparing for you. You have to prepare this for yourself. And again, It's also part of leverage, of knowing exactly what's going on in your community, where your resources are coming from, and it also leads in to the next thing that you need to do. Um, and these are areas more on the community and regional preparedness for change. Um, and that first thing for community and regional preparedness for change is you need to check homeland security in your area. Um, I can remember going to a meeting at a Chamber of Commerce meeting where one of our state representatives came and spoke to us about disaster preparedness for our area. And basically what he told us was that, well, you're on your own. And we were like, what? And he was like, yeah, this was in Washington. And he said, if there's a tsunami or anything like that, you're going to be sitting up here on this hill watching all the rescue boats going past you to Seattle. He said, there's nothing for your area, You're not going to get any help. And so it was like, oh, thank you, Mr. Representative. You didn't apparently advocate for us with anyone, but you're perfectly happy to come and let us know that, there won't even be any funding, for putting together little flight kits with Band-Aids in them or anything. Nothing. You're on your own. So check Homeland Security in your area. Where are the dollars and the human resources going in your area? I mean, I know we all got firehouses, right? Yeah. But what about preparedness for refugees or for your low-income and vulnerable community members? Are they keeping your borders and your water supplies and your power plants and your bridges secure? I mean, are they actually doing that? Because, they talk about terrorist cells in America. Well, we do have terrorist cells in America. They're not necessarily Middle Eastern terrorist cells, but we do have a lot of spies from other nations that you will find out about when you check out the video playlist. There is another particular nation that is very, very big on having spies in America, and they're very big on doing terrorist attacks to get their way. So we do need to have our water supplies, like if you have a big reservoir, is anybody watching your reservoir to make sure nobody goes up there and, and your power plants and your bridges, what are they doing? Because when you follow what Homeland Security is doing on the larger level, you find that they are making lots of money for a certain group of people, who are in the security business, which is the watcher business, putting up cameras everywhere, on every street corner, and scanning people and all this stuff, So they've done a lot to watch us, okay? But I'm not really sure how much of the money has gone into protecting us, which is what they were supposed to be doing. So I don't know. You need to find out, is what I'm telling you. Do they monitor your air? Do they help factories that produce or work with dangerous substances to prevent sabotage? Are your communications secure? How do your communications work? If you get cut off from the internet, do you have a local internet? Do you have any other means of getting online or staying in communication? Is there a local net that can stand alone without the global net? The Homeland Security budget is huge. It's right up there with the military budget. All of our tax dollars are flowing into it. Is your homeland secure? Make sure you are getting your money back into your area, because that's what taxes are. That's your money. and it's supposed to come back to you. Okay? So, we'll go into more on the economics of things, but the general idea that somehow we're not supposed to be spending our tax money is stupid, okay? And it's a lie, and it's a manipulation. That's exactly what we're supposed to be doing with our tax money. That's why we collect it in the first place, okay? What they're basically saying is, no, we're supposed to be collecting all your money and then giving it to these corporations that make war and, and spy on you. Okay? And it's like, no, we're supposed to be collecting all that money, and then it's supposed to be going back to the people into the states so that we can use it for things that we need it for. That's what taxes are, okay? So, do your homework. Know that the New World Order only wants surveillance and control through military dominance everywhere, including in Podunk, Mississippi, wherever that is. Take the pledge, do your homework, and you will also know what a false flag event is once you do your homework. Don't be crazy paranoid, that won't help. Just be calm and look and ask questions and make some local decisions about how you want your Homeland Security money spent. Yes, it will cause a ruckus, but that's what we want. We're taking our power back. This is a major point of power, just like the money supply. So paying attention to Homeland Security is another important strategic key. You get two positive outcomes. First, they can't get away with any bad things that they may or may not be doing if you were watching. And two, you get to actually benefit from all the tax money being spent to keep us secure. Such a deal. So, I don't know what to do. The world is a mess. It's crazy. I don't know who's telling me the truth and who's lying. These are the solutions. Problem solved. Do your homework. You know who's telling you the truth and who's lying. Problem solved. You don't know what to do? Just go over this checklist. I'll have it written down, and you'll know exactly what to do. Out of all the things that you could possibly do, I've got it down to the few things that will actually make the most difference, that will get us where we want to go. I'm very left-brained, and this is a linear process. One thing builds on the other, one thing provides for the other. So first you do your homework so that you know what you're talking about and you understand what the problems are, and you will have a sense of what the solutions are. And you'll find that your thinking is probably going to be pretty much along the same lines as everybody else. So don't worry about arguments and no, do it this way, no, do it that way. You'll find that it becomes obvious what needs to be done. And when you learn about, in my section on anti-social marketing, you will learn about how we can be manipulated into arguing about things when we don't really have to. So you'll be savvy to that too. So you won't have a problem with a lot of this. You'll see. Another important thing to do is I call weapons check. Yes, what weapons do you have in your community and who is in charge of them? I'm pretty sure that everybody realizes that Ferguson, the most important thing we learned about what happened there was how our police departments have been militarized. Well, we need to know, what do we have? What kind of weapons, are these guys sitting on? And who's in charge of them? Because you could have a really good relationship with your police department in your community. They could be really clear about who they are there to serve and protect, you know? And they would never dream of shooting protesters or hungry people or whatever, you know, or facilitating putting people in mass prisons or any of that horrible stuff, you know? Um, you know, they're there to serve, to keep the peace, and that's what they're willing to do, and that's what they will do, you know? Um, but you don't know if Homeland Security or anybody else will just simply send in their own people and tell the police, well, now you are under us, you know, because you have to think about Nazi Germany, you know, and the way they were able to just take over there, you know, and then a lot of it was like that, you know, they just sent their people in and said, now we're in charge and you're under us. You have to follow our orders, okay? And with modern warfare, now we have mercenaries, you know, that we didn't have before. Now we have mercenaries. And then we have, you know, these unmanned drones and all this other stuff, you know, so that you need to know who's in charge of those weapons. And and if and if the people who are in charge of these weapons, and I'm speaking to you now directly and personally, if you are, you know, the chief of police or the mayor or whoever is in charge of these weapons, you need to make sure that they are, number one, that they are secured, and number two, if things get ugly, it would be really, really great if you had them stored in such a way that you just couldn't find the key. You know, you hear what I'm saying? You know, you just couldn't find that key. And somehow, uh, you can't get access to that stuff. Okay? It's really important that you start thinking about that and planning and doing whatever it takes so that you at least have it in your mind to know that this is what you plan on doing. Um, do you have extremists in your area? You know, because what happens is that extremists, they get manipulated, um, and this is what they're finding, like with the whole ISIS thing, was that, you know, these guys were just, you know, a bunch of group of people who had like a website. They weren't nothing. And then the next thing you know, you turn around and they've got all these fancy weapons and they've got training and they are going in and they are like murdering people like you wouldn't believe. Okay? This can happen in America. You know, what they do is they target extremist groups. You know, they propagandize them. You know, and they train them, and they're just like a gun, and they just point them at whatever group they want them pointed at, and they shoot. And so police need to be really, really ready and aware of what's going on with their extremist groups. Make friends with them. Get to know them. Um, and I'm sharing this, and I hope others will too, you know, this warning that I'm giving to any kind of extremist groups, any of you guys who are out there packing, you know, large amounts of weapons, you know, waiting for the shit to hit the fan, expecting that you're going to have to, you know, defend your nation yourself and all that kind of stuff, you know, you need to beware, because you are the perfect target, you know, not for being suppressed, okay, but for being encouraged in a really bad way, okay. All they have to do is start feeding you, you know, a certain intelligence that tells you, you know, it's these people, they're the ones who are blah, 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 you know, whatever, and you could end up finding yourself in the same situation as they are in the Middle East, where they just create these radical groups to create murder, chaos, mayhem, in order to destabilize the nation. And that's all that they're there for, is for destabilization. Okay? Not for any cause, not for any good reason, just purely for destabilization. So, and I know that we love to go on and on about the Second Amendment and how you have the right to bear arms and all this stuff. And I feel that it is really important that you focus on the part about the well-ordered militia. Okay? That, to me, makes sense. You have a right to bear arms so that if you are called to defend your nation, your county, your hill, whatever, you are ready to go forth and do so as a well-ordered militia. Okay? So that means that, you're not there to do whatever some stupid CIA agent tells you to do, okay? You have a purpose, and you've already established what that purpose is, okay? So we need to let extremist groups know that that is where we expect them to be, okay? We expect them to be there standing shoulder to shoulder with our little police departments, and with all the budget cuts, what of our county sheriffs, a lot of us, we've got maybe like 2 or 3 county, county sheriff officers, and that's about it for the whole freaking county, all right? So yeah, we need you. But you need to be really clear. You need to do your homework now so that you understand what all the threats are that we are facing, so that you will know where you need to stand with those weapons when the time comes. Okay? That's the bottom line with that. They can, yes, I put here that American extremist groups can shoot all the CIA-backed fake terrorist groups they want to. Okay? Matter of fact, we are depending on them to do so. We need them to utilize their intelligence networks to support us. They will perhaps be the first if they'll perhaps know first if local groups are being tapped and trained and suddenly coming into a lot of money, or when excuse me, quote, assets are being moved into our area. I will address being compromised in other areas of my talk about having people within our communities who are compromising our security. For now, suffice it to say that there are some FBI that we can depend on, but as you go up the chain of command, things get more and more compromised. So again, we can see that local and regional power and resilience is the key to wresting power back to the people where it belongs. We can't control everything or everybody, but what we can do is preempt this victim fest that occurs again and again in every nation that dares to reject the New World Order debt slavery model. Terror attacks out of the blue, angry citizens marching in the streets and getting attacked by sniper fire, well-armed, well-trained rebels, murdering and destroying. These are all the modus operandi of the New World Order. So once you know where you are now, you need to know where you are going. And that's what I'm going to talk about next.